Hello everybody, today I'm going to be talking about how to make your color grading 10 times faster. We're going to start by going up in the top left towards gallery. If you don't already know what this is, stills is where you create a still for this project. The power grade is stills, but for all projects. I'll get to that in a minute. Now over here on the right is the nodes. This is where we're going to be building our node tree. A node tree is unique to one person. You shouldn't have the same one as everybody else. What I mean by that is it's designed to be customized to you and your liking. Now I'll tell you about my liking, and I usually have between 7 and 8 nodes. For my first node, I have exposure. And to change the name of that, you just right click and then click node label. For my second node, click Option S if you're on Mac. I have white balance. For my third node, I have color where I adjust individual colors. For my fourth node, I have saturation. For this node, you're going to right click, go down to channels, turn off channel 3 and channel 1. Go into color space, go all the way down to HSV. We'll go back to that in a minute. Create a fifth node, right click, go into add node, go down to outside. We're not going to name any of these right now, but I will get to that in a minute. For the 7th node, this is our color space transform, and for our 8th node, this is our LUTs. In the CST node, open effects in the top right and scroll down until you see CST, the color space transform. You're going to drag that onto the CST tab, and from there you'll customize it to your camera settings. I shoot on Sony S-Log3. My input color space is Sony S-Gamut3 Cine. My input gamma is Sony S-Log3. My output color space is Rec 709. And output gamma is a 2.4. Go back into your exposure, go down to these bottom left towards these color wheels over here. Now, certain cameras have different pivots. My camera is 0.336, so I will change that to 0.336. Now I'll be going back over these two nodes in the center right here. Now for this first node, this is our face tracker. What the face tracker is we put a tracker on someone's face to brighten them, really center them in the image and make them known as our main character. And for this specifically, we can definitely tell that this man in this image is our main character. So what we'll do right now is we're just going to title this FT. And for this one, we're just going to title it out. Now, before we color this, since this is our base tree node, what I'll do is I'll right click on my image. I will grab still and make sure the power grade is open, because now what will happen is this exact node tree will be in your power grades for all your projects. And all you have to do is just drag this specific power grade onto your node tree. For exposure, you're not going to change a whole lot unless you want to go for a specific look or you didn't expose correctly on the day of the shoot. I usually like to have my scope set to parade so I can see each individual color more specifically. A little trick I like to do is bring the contrast all the way to where it looks a little too dark and memorize that number. Let's just say 0.21. And then bring it all the way over to where it looks too bright, around there. That's a 0.65. And then you just half that towards the middle. So around a 0.95 is what I'm looking for right now. And you can do that the same with shadows and highlights. We'll mess with the shadows first because you don't want to add too much light into your image. For most of the time, avoid bringing the shadows into the positives because you'll start adding light that isn't already there. And as you can see the grain that pops up right here. I think the -25 is about too dark for me, and I believe that around the 10 mark is about too light. So we'll find the middle around -7. The highlights really adjust the brighter parts of our image, like the sky, his shirt, the smoke, his glasses, this little wall right here. This is what we're adjusting with our highlights. As long as it's not bringing the shadows up too much, as you can see, it's kind of doing that right there. You can really bump up the highlights to about as high as you want. If you look over here to our parade, you can see this red and blue, and up here, all this little fuzzy stuff up here. What we want to avoid is those peaking too high, because when we get too high, we start to lose the ability to adjust those specific colors. I usually like to keep the highest parts up here between the 800 and the 1000. Just kind of like right in between there, looks good. Next, we'll jump right into our white balance. This is super easy. As you can see, this white, it looks a little blue. You can see how that is a little bit higher than these other ones. We'll go to this white balance tool right here. We're going to click the whitest part of the image. Click it up here. You can definitely tell that this helped the image look a little bit warmer. It brought down this to level with this. I think the red's a little too high. You can kind of tell right there. So we'll bring this down just a tad. Now that we're done with white balance, we're going to jump over into color. For color, we're going to move out of these color wheels. We're going to go all the way to this right here. It's the color slice. This individually picks each color and lets you adjust each color from there. We can definitely see the green and the orange. So orange usually is between the skin color, yellow and red. It's kind of in these three. We kind of mess with those to kind of see what we get offered. But for skin, you can definitely tell we're going to be adjusting this skin color right here. So we want to be careful with changing the skin color. You'll see when I bring this up, we definitely bump up that orange on the flower on his shirt, but you can see we're also affecting his skin tone. And along with the skin tone, we're affecting this wall, this post. I kind of like the way the orange is affecting, and it's not changing the others too much. So we'll do that. This is the saturation right here. This brings up the color. Right here, this brings up the darkness of the color. And you can see I bring it up higher, it gets a little dark. Bring it lower, it gets brighter. I think right now it's fine in the middle area. We don't really want to affect the reds, because when we affect the reds, we're going to start seeing his lip get a little red. This ear right here, we zoom in, it's red. We can definitely tell that it's red, but when we boost up that red, you can really see how drastic it looks. Yes, the lips start to look nicer, but we can definitely see too much red over here, so we want to keep that right where it was. Now let's start playing with the greens a little bit. This background is feeling a little bright, so what we'll do is we'll take this green and darken it just a tad. It's not going to change a whole lot. I don't want to boost the saturation on the green too much. I do like the way that looks, but it's almost pulling a little too much away from our main character. I will put it about 3/4 up. I really like how this image is looking out right now. Now the yellow is also going to adjust some of these trees back here. So what we'll do is we'll bump up the saturation on that just a little bit to give, you can see it gives it a lot of color, and especially in these lighter areas. So as the green before, I will also put it about 3/4 up. We've done about everything we can to each individual color. So let's go ahead and jump back to the color wheels. We're going to now go into our saturation. This is the one with our color space as HSV and the channel set to just channel 2. So when in this saturation tab, you want to avoid adjusting individual tints and temperature and shadows, because what that's doing is it's changing things that you do not want to change. Our two friendly tabs for the saturation are going to be the offset and the contrast. And when you adjust the offset, you will notice it gets a little bit brighter and our colors start to pop a little bit more. You want to be careful of bumping this too much, because when we get too bright, we start to lose our legitimate colors. You can see we're bringing in purple into his cheeks. Over here on this wall, there's purple coming in, purple and blue. That is not there before, so this is a good image to look at. You can obviously tell where these colors are coming in at, so you can almost just adjust accordingly to that. And as we can see, those colors are kind of those colors are going away, and we don't want to bump it too high. So as we can see, we didn't bump the offset up too much, but our colors are looking a decent amount better. And you can see that by clicking the numbers down here in this bottom. You can see that by clicking the numbers, we went from A to B. You can, however, mess with the contrast a little bit, and by bringing it down, it adds a little bit more colors. It basically does the same thing as the offset, just a little bit more drastic. Now that we've gotten that knocked out, we're going to jump into face tracker. Now this is going to sound confusing, but trust me, it is a lot easier than it seems. We're going to go into down here, and we're going to find this window tab right here. We're going to click window. We'll click this circle right here. We're going to line this with his face, and then we're going to soften this edge just a little bit, just so it's not as harsh and noticeable afterwards. Now that we have this window adjusted to his face, what we'll do is we'll go into the tracker tab, and then we're going to go up into these tabs up here. We're going to keep the pan, keep the tilt, keep the zoom, keep the rotate, and keep the 3D. But the reason why I mention this is because for some videos, the subject you are selecting does not zoom in, does not rotate, does not have a 3D scale. So a lot of the times you will just do pan, tilt, maybe sometimes zoom. But for this specific video, we're going to keep all of them on. You're going to go over here towards track forward and reverse and go ahead and click that. What's going to do is it's just going to track his whole face, whichever way he turns. And as you can see, it's sort of messed up right here, but what we can do is real simply just adjust this back onto his face and then click the button again. Once all of that is done, we are going to go into our Out tab. From there, we'll go into Curves. So you want to jump right here in the middle and just slightly drag this down enough to where we see his face a little bit brighter. Once you get that done, we have our LUTs, and from here you can go up to the top left and click LUTs. I have a lot of LUTs downloaded on my computer for my own use, but Davinci gives you a lot on your own. A lot of the times I will go into the mid details and drag this into the negatives, not too much, but what it does is it softens the image and gives it this creamier, more cinematic look. Now, this is definitely per person, and a lot of people might even like bumping the details up in the positives to get a more textured look on the skin, on the trees. I just, however, like it more creamy. Assuming that you don't use any of these face trackers or out inputs, you delete those. And if you just have these nodes right here and you like the way each one of these shots laid out, what you can do is you can just go into the gallery again, open the stills, right click on the image, click grab still, and now you have these nodes, but just for this one right here. So when you have a second clip that you would like to color grade, all you have to do is just drag it and it's there. Same goes for the power grade, but this is just the Rec 709 color space transform that you can use on every other project. It's not the already color graded version right here. The best advice I could give you to color grading faster is to just practice. Grab some S-Log3 footage like this one right here and go in and practice. I went from spending 30 minutes to an hour on one single clip to now being able to do a clip in under 5 minutes. It just takes practice. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.